Well, we think a little differently about investing. We do a lot as a team, but I think Leanne is more set it and forget it. She's doing a retire by age for her work, and that's
Welcome, millionaires and future millionaires. You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, a show where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their portfolio allocation. Now to your host, Jace Mattinson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 397.
This is the podcast where everyday millionaires spill the beans on their stacks of green. We're your hosts, Jason and Stacy, ready to bring you unscripted tales of wealth. Join us as we dive into the net worths and asset allocations of regular folks turned financial titans. We promise our only edits are to be kid-friendly.
Hope everybody had a great President's Day yesterday. And I am super excited for today's episode. This week we have Mike and Leanne. They have a net worth of $1.2 million. I know I had a couple of reviews we'll probably address later that don't like young, rich people that have real estate. This is a little different. They're social workers. They've got a majority in some long-term investments in the market, but they also have some real estate too. It's going to be a great episode with them. And can't wait to get into the details. Both social workers, as I mentioned, and we get into a little bit of their career journey and what it takes and what it looks like to be a social worker. And Mike gives us some great insight into that career and that profession and the track and the necessity of it. Going to be a great episode with them. If you'd like to be on the show, send us an email, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. Always looking for new, great, entertaining guests. We do have episode 400 coming up. I did secure an interview with a billionaire, so I'll let that cat out of the bag. That episode 400 will be an interview with a billionaire. I was fortunate enough to sit down and do that a little bit ago. So extremely excited for that. It's a monumental mark for the show, getting to 400 episodes, 400 interviews over the course of the last 8+ years. And without any further delay, let's get right into the episode with Mike and Leanne. Mike and Leanne, do you want to just give us about your background and what you're up to now?
we are both social workers for New York State, but we work for different agencies. She works for people with developmental disabilities, and I work for the Office of Mental Health full-time. I also have a private practice on the side, and I do a little bit of teaching, so a little bit of everything, you know.
Awesome. Quite some important jobs for sure. And I'd love to get into a little bit more of that because I do think this is probably the first time that we have had social workers on the show. But before we do, what's your net worth today?
1.2 million, roughly. I know the market went a little down, but that was as of end of November.
Okay. And how is the 1.2 broken up?
Well, 300 in our primary residence, 200 into a rental, 600 into various deferred compensation and IRA accounts, and then like 100 in cash. We're trying to buy a second rental and we need a new vehicle. So about 100 in cash.
Okay. And let's start with the primary residence. Is that paid for? Or do you still have a mortgage on there?
Paid for, yep.
Okay. And when did you pay that off?
I think I do know it was during the stimulus time during the pandemic. We both were working and we got a little bit of a boost there. So I'm thinking end of 2020, early 2021.
Wow, great for you. And did you pay that down aggressively from when you bought it, or was there a big lump sum that you got to pay some of that down, or kind of talk us through the journey of paying that house off and early?
It was aggressive. Every time we had extra money, we did the Ramsey snowball method, but we really didn't follow all the baby steps, but because we were still investing, but we paid it down aggressively. Every time we had extra money, it went at it, and it's kind of fun. We had a chart on the fridge that's still there of the timeline of it going down, and you got the little amortization table. You're crossing off months, so a little wild ride, you know.
So all in all, how long from the time of purchase to paying that off, how long did that take?
I'm thinking 9 years. Yeah, 9 years.
Wow, good for you. That's awesome. And did it appreciate quite a bit as well while you were paying it off and I guess into to 2024 today?
It is. We paid
25?
170, so about 130 in appreciation.
Wow, that's awesome. So what What was behind kind of paying that house off early for y'all? Why was that so important?
I think it puts you at peace. There's like no worries, and just it really did give us freedom. I think Leanne's nodding her head. Yeah, it gave us some freedom.
Was that a big goal from the time that you bought that to pay it off early, or did that come a little later?
I think it came later. I think we always paid a little extra. I think we probably were looking at turning a 30 into a 15, but then it just became this game of get it done, get it done, get it done. Because we closed on our last house after the purchase, so we put a big lump sum of the 170 was like 30 was 2 months after closing on this house. We had two mortgages for a period of time, so yeah.
Okay. And at this point, with paying that off, I mean, you mentioned just a second ago that you were still investing during that period of time. Did you have debt that you were paying down too, or was it just the home that you had left in terms of mortgage
Well, we did
debt?
the student loans first. Obviously, we did. Neither of us carried a large deal in credit card really ever. We did have a little bit of trouble, but it was just the student loans on our house. So once the student loans were done, it was game on and fire, and it was actually a lot of fun. And yeah.
That's awesome. Walk us through, I mean, 9 years into buying that house. Did you change anything? Did you celebrate when you paid that off? What happened at that mark when you paid it off?
It's kind of funny. We were hoping to both be there, but then like with a home, the amortization changes by the day and by the loan. So we were going to go together to the bank and pay it off, and like celebrate. But I couldn't be there because I had to work. So it was like, oh, but it was fun. I think we did something that night, maybe got pizza or something. But you would think it would be the cinematic moment, but it's kind of just like it's done. You feel the freedom afterwards when you start doing those nicer things that we've done in the last couple of years that we've been able to do.
So why did you not slow down your investments during that period of time as well?
I think it just became a way of life. Like we started our Roth IRAs such a long time ago. We probably started them when we were like 23. It just became a way of what you did that came out of your check. So it was just like we knew what the budget was with it. We could pay it off, and we'd already paid our student loans off and my student loans off. So it was just game on with what we had.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for y'all.
And the
So let's talk about the other investments. The money that you got invested essentially for retirement or tax advantage or deferred. What is that? Is that in stocks, bonds, mutual funds? What's the breakup there?
Well, we think a little differently about investing. We do a lot as a team, but I think Leanne is more set it and forget it. She's doing a retire by age for her work, and that's she puts 10% of her income retire by age right into work. And then we have the IRA that she does. She does a percentage, and then I do a percentage in my Roth IRA, and then I put 20% of my income in my deferred comp. So, and that's all mutual funds. So everything's mutual funds except retire by age, because some of that would probably be in bonds.
Talk to us a little bit about the retire by age. What does that look like? And when you use that term, what does that mean just for our listeners to clarify a little bit?
Well, she does a straight fund, retire 2035. So because we're trying to retire at 55, 56. So it's just a straight fund that is retired by 2035.
Gotcha. So kind of like a target date
Target
type fund
date
for
fund.
y'all.
Yeah, that's probably the better word. Target date fund. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And has that been the strategy ever since? I mean, you said you started investing in your Roth at 23. Is that post graduating college? Has that kind of been the strategy all along to participate that way?
I started when I got into my job, my workplace, predominantly. I think Michael was investing before, but when I started at my job, I was told by others that I should do this as soon as possible, get into this deferred compensation program. And so I just kind of worked with them and started that way. And, with whatever I could at that point in time, and have slowly increased it over time.
When you say you were told by others, was that other coworkers or was that friends, family, or an investment advisor, or who was that?
Coworkers. So like senior kind of employees that kind of took me under their wings and, just said, hey, this is something that you have to do. And it just wasn't an option. They just said you should really do this so that, it supported retirement and down the road, especially how young I was at the time starting out.
Before they told you that and took you under your wing, had you actually looked at investments before, or was there any type of financial literacy that you were coming into that conversation with?
No, if very, very limited, just finances weren't really a thing talked about in my household, or in investing. It just wasn't a thing that was really looked at as a way or a mechanism. So kind of learned a lot through them. And then Michael, being as interested as he is, he definitely encouraged, that movement and, getting more involved in that.
Were you all together at that time when you had that first job, those first initial conversations with those coworkers?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mike, what led you to have some interest in personal finance, or did you kind of come at it the same way, where it was, hey, once I got into the working world, I started learning these things?
It was when I got into the working world, but I lucked out as we had someone at work that worked for Primerica, and I know it's like a multi-level marketing scheme, but they kind of got us started in the right direction, and we actually still, our Roths are still with them just because we've been with them. Once again, it's set it and forget it. You just keep doing it. So they kind of got me locked in at that young age.
What was it about those interactions, in both of your cases that led you to, one, trust these people and what they were telling you, and two, to have the confidence and and being able to do and put money away when you still have student loans and you're trying to, deal with all the potential pressures of, living that next level life now that you have, a paycheck, out of college?
I think when our Lorraine came over and showed us the chart and showed us that snowball, and then learning more about that from listening to podcasts later on, I think when you see that could be $1 million, you're like, if you invest this little amount at this age, that you could have this kind of money. For me, that was a little eye-opening, and I don't know what Leanne think.
I think likewise. I mean, I would say very similar. It fit with kind of how I saved. I think I've always been a saver in my own way, and definitely not someone that's kind of extravagant or really materialistic. So it was just but I had gotten myself into some debt after grad school, so very helpful to see how that snowball, like that was exciting, like starting that and then really seeing how I could very relatively quickly pay those off and make headway.
How much student loan debt did you guys start with?
I started for a while we did separate finances, so we didn't know. I was in the 30s, circa 2005 when we graduated.
And I think I was in the 50s with a substantial credit card debt at that point. I was in Miami. I did not get a part-time job when I was in grad school because I was just overwhelmed having been and moving to Miami to do grad school. So I definitely kind of racked up some debt in doing some fun things in my 20s before kind of settling, down.
So I would say 80 to 90, somewhere in that range altogether. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long did it take you to pay that off?
Well, that was a journey in itself because we did separate finances for the longest time. So I would say we didn't get that paid off before we started paying aggressively on the house. So I think mine was paid off 2015, 2016. So 11, 12 years for mine. And then what do you think about yours, 18?
Right. It was shorter. I really didn't want him to help me because he had already did his own. And I'm pretty stubborn and just kind of grew up just needing to take care of myself and not wanting to, even though we were together. I don't know. It was just a set of, I got myself into this. I needed to get myself out of it. But ultimately he really talked me into it with the numbers that we could clear my part much faster. And now, now I just see, like, again, it's give and take. I have, how he invests versus how I'm investing. And now my money, I have a little bit more that I'm able to help offset and do more fun things and help him do fun things because he gets super laser focused on goals, and which is important. But we also need to have fun and enjoy ourselves as well. So.
Listen up, millionaires and soon to be millionaires. Do you ever buy anything online? I know I do. In fact, some of my favorite places to purchase are online. Do you know some of those favorite places that you buy from? There's some amazing websites out there, and many of them are powered by Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage and all the way in between to we just hit $1 million order stage. Yep, Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling shipping supplies or promoting productivity programs, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their personal in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, up to 36% better compared to other leading e-commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control of your business to the next level. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/unveiled, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/unveiled now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/unveiled. And thanks again to Shopify for supporting today's episode.
So you both are on this financial journey, kind of together but separately for a long time before you kind of joined forces on this.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit more about having separate finances, how that worked for you, and when you decided to bring your finances together?
I think listening to a lot of Dave Ramsey, how couples did it together, kind of brought us together with that of wanting to work together. But we still, not everything is together. Like we had to set a limit of what we could spend without talking to each other. And it was a very interesting conversation. I love to bowl. So I'm like, a new bowling ball is $300. And then she's like, that's not enough to cover a day out at the spa if we get dinner and everything with my friends. So we upped it to like 400. That was the amount of still having separate finances, but not having to correspond if we do those one or two big things a year, because those aren't things we do often.
Right. I think though we found that good middle ground for us, which is we do each have our own separate, because I don't know, I just never wanted to be in a situation where I had to ask or have him feel like he had to ask like what we were spending. So we really just carve out what are our couple goals for saving. That goes into one account. We have way too many. We have so many bank accounts. It's crazy. But our couple bank account, that's just bills off the top, everything that we're saving for and just making sure like the day to day. And then we each have our own finances where we really can kind of choose how we do that, and just not stressful or not fighting or worrying about what someone might think if I bought a couple pairs of shoes or something. So
How many bank accounts do you have? Just curious.
This is funny. We each have our own, and then I have the counseling practice, which is a partnership, and then we have the rental house, which is an LLC. So there's, I would say, 5, if not 6.
we each have our own. We have a joint, and
So
then
that's
the two
three.
businesses.
Yeah, so 5. And
Yeah.
the 2 businesses, yep, 5.
Okay, so not crazy. Not crazy.
It feels like a lot.
When you mentioned bank accounts, I was thinking you had like one for travel and like one for utility bill, one for food, and like kind of, instead of having envelopes like Dave Ramsey, you got bank accounts that you kind of shoveled in, the digital age, right? Like we can't even find envelopes sometimes until we go get our mail.
And we have a couple CDs elsewhere too, but I don't really count those as bank accounts.
Thanks for sharing that. At what point did you decide to buy a rental home?
This is the wild. It was a dream of mine to buy property, and then I realized a dream is not a dream. It's a lot of work. Probably right after we paid off the house is something that I've always wanted. My grandparents had 9 rentals, and they were able to have a great retirement based on them. And my grandma was smart. She always said if they're building good tech, the company will make it. So when like Apple dropped and things dropped, Ford dropped, she bought into those couple of companies. So, but I saw them with the rental house doing well, and it's been a lot of work. They make it seem so easy online, that has not been our experience. And I'll tell you some of the
Well,
stories.
now we're intrigued. Tell us more about your experience.
Well, our first tenant moved in December 23rd of 2023. December 22nd, they move in. December 23rd, the furnace blows. We had to put this new tenant in a hotel on Christmas because they had a 2-year-old, and I'm like, I am not ruining this family's Christmas who just rented our house. Then there was constant fights between the neighbors over there. The neighbors would call the police on the tenant. Then the neighbor came walking in the house, so the tenant called the police on the neighbors. Then they got our address and would send us photos of when the tenant was working out of town. The lawn got too high. Yeah, it's just been a wild ride. And to top it off, the profit this year, because we fixed the furnace, but when they moved out, we finally replaced it and it's paid for. We paid cash for it. We redid the windows right away because we knew they were lead and they had a young child. So before, when they came in, that was like February, they were done. The profit was under $1,000 this year because we were still rehabbing, So it's been a lot of work for a little bit of profit. And Leanne was awesome in the early stages with project management because when you're dealing with 4 or 5 contractors, it's like a nightmare. Who's coming in when? Who's coming in late? And I was still working my practice at night, so thank God, because she was a beast at like organizing all that. But it was a tough first year of being a landlord.
Wow, that's definitely not the story that gets you wanting to jump into it, but you've mentioned already that you're wanting to buy a second. So you have high hopes moving forward, it looks like.
I do, but I think I'm getting a side eye right now.
No. No. I think it's a good idea still, but it's our backup plan is if we decide it's not the right route, we just then have a savings that's with some liquid cash, which will be helpful for that earlier retirement plan as well at 56. So either way, second rental or that kind of having that comfort with that cash would be helpful. So I feel like no matter what, but it's definitely been interesting. Rentals, I don't know. I think we're too nice maybe to do rentals, but we'll see.
Yeah. So where did you purchase your rental? Is it close by you?
Yes, we got a great pocket listing. We worked with a great realtor. It's in a great area. It's weird. Utica and New Hartford, there's a big discrepancy in income. Like Utica is low income, but New Hartford is wealthy. So the school district is way different, but there's still like this poorer part of New Hartford. So we're in this great school district. So I like the property. I would live in the property. And that's one thing that I wanted as a landlord is I wanted a property that I would live in. So we got to undervalue being a pocket listing, which was huge. And then we did the renovation. So that was kind of nice,
As you kind of look into the future of where you want to head, you've mentioned retired 55 possibly. What does it look like in terms of continuing to put money in your investments and dealing with this rental? I mean, how do you think about where your next dollar gets invested?
I think we stay the course, right? We're still going to probably invest about $40,000 in our deferred comp and our IRAs altogether. That's been a number that we've hit the last couple of years. And then we're still trying to save about $40,000 in cash to possibly buy the next rental. I think that's where we're at right now. And the numbers are a little less. We only saved $36,000, but we want to do some or $38 this year, but we want to renovate our house a little bit. We renovated the rental. Let's put some money into our house this year. But that still looks the same. Short-term money is tough. So I think we've been putting it in CDs with that short-term cash to maybe buy the next rental. That's a little different than what we did last time. But it's nice to get a little bit of something on that money while you save it up.
You mentioned previously that your lifestyle has changed a little bit since paying off your primary home. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I saw my first I'm a big concert aficionado, and I saw my first concert VIP. We saw the Gaslight Anthem. I know it's a B-list band, but I love them. And we were VIP, super cool. We went to the Boston Calling Music Festival, and we went in General Admission Plus. And you don't know how it is to have a place to sit down and a clean bathroom to use. You're not going to the porta potty anymore. I know we've done some more travel, and Leanne can talk about some of that. We booked Alaska coming up. We went to Hawaii. So yeah.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drusky, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Millionaire and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Millionaire on Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play for $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. And thanks to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's episode.
Very fun. I love to hear where the money is bringing you a little bit of extra joy as you make that transition. I'd love to back up a little bit and talk about your careers, given I think you're our first social workers we've had on the show. How do you get into social work?
Well, we both have masters in social work, so it's a master's degree. And then we're both licensed in the state of New York. I had worked in the field prior to grad school. I had worked for an agency, and I saw what people with their masters were making compared to someone with a bachelor's. And it was 40 to 50% more. So that was kind of the drive to go to the school. A bachelor's in psychology is a tough degree to have. But I also find the value in MSW because there is a ton of side work for licensed clinicians right now. They're in need, they're in demand, whether it's licensed mental health counselors, licensed clinical social workers. But that kind of guided my path there. And I think people with education, right now they're down on it. And it's a whole pendulum of things. I know when I sent Jace my email this morning that everyone is leaning towards the trades. I can't talk. Everyone is leaning towards the trades right now. But we still need people in a lot of medical fields, such as mental health counseling, nurse practitioners. We still need teachers. Just because the trades pay well, there's still some value in higher education. And there also are a lot of creative ways to make money. Like teachers can tutor, I can teach. There's just a lot of ways to make money with a higher level of education.
And so do you have to have a master's degree to be in the field, or you can be in social work, but you just don't make quite as much without the master's degree?
That's correct. And what you can do is a little different without the master's. Like a lot of suicide assessments can't be done. There's some agencies that only want MSW to sign off on billing due to some insurances and so on.
Okay. And then I've personally worked with quite a few social workers when I was working in the hospital systems. But I have not worked with a social worker in private practice. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do in the private practice world?
I got this really cool gig. I contract with another agency, so I'm a private practitioner, but all my work comes from them, so I'm a contractor for them, and I do it all in their homes. So I go out into their homes and do in-home counseling and therapy with mostly young adults. I get a lot of that 16 to 18-year-old range, and it's kind of a nice population to work with because you get a big life transition, and I enjoy that population. But it's a lot of counseling in the home.
Very neat. Thanks for sharing. I always love to hear a little bit about what people are doing, and maybe there's someone listening who might be interested in that path. So where do you see you guys going from here? What's next?
I think we keep pushing the retirement, but we do continue to live. Like, I'm looking forward to going to Alaska. That's a bucket list. I think we continue to start to enjoy things a little more. I'm still frugal. Even the Alaska trip, Leanne wanted a balcony. I'm like, no, we'll be fine. But we got the balcony. So I think doing more of those fun things.
Yeah, and it's just an ease of we're definitely enjoying where we are right now, and I'm continuing just being able to take family and friends and go do things, and being able to pick up the tab and just take people out to dinner and just reciprocating some of the kindnesses that we've had, and it is nice. It's nice to say, hey, we've got this, and we've with my family, we've taken a lot of great trips, just having good family memories and wanting to build those and continue to build those. So, yeah.
Love that. You guys seem to be very experience driven in terms of enjoying the fruits of your labor.
We still
Last
got the
question.
2010 and a 2006. Two Toyotas and they're still going, but yeah, we are definitely experience driven. Yeah.
They're going strong. What does retirement look like for you?
I think for me, it is this idea that I could just be outside every day, whether it's riding my bike, it's taking a walk, listening to a book or a podcast, and not having this stress of going into tough homes. And it may be where I do just work part time at 55 for a few years, but I think there's going to be a level of burnout for me where it might be a transition career for a little while before I get into retirement. And I know for Leanne, I think at 56, she's going to be done with work. And I know she can talk a little more.
Yeah, I really, really just want to explore more, I think. My own like interests and activities and things like that, hobbies, and just finding more time. I'm exhausted, and so I'm sure a lot of people are, but it's a lot, the work, and it takes a toll, and I'd like to focus a little bit more on me. I feel like I give everything sometimes to the job and I can't cut that off. So I feel like retirement is the cutoff, and I really hope that I'm going to focus on myself more and and kind of cultivate those a little bit more. So that's the goal. That's the goal for retirement for me.
Well, let's wrap up with some rapid fire questions. What's the most expensive pair of shoes that you've purchased or pants?
My bowling shoes were over $100. We talked about this last week. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have expensive shoes. I don't know.
Pants? Nada?
I have a pair of salvage denim, but I bought them secondhand, and they're still about $50, I think.
I think I've got the picture. We've got bowling, we've got a few things, and then we've got the spa and the balcony on vacations. I've got the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the most expensive meal out?
We took friends out when he finished his master's, and I think that was probably about 300, 250, 300, and it was great. It was awesome.
All right. What's your favorite thing you spend money on?
I like coffee.
I like taking my family on vacation. Splurge.
And I like going to concerts too. That's a big thing, but I volunteer at a lot of shows. I'm a team leader with Headcount, so I get to go to a lot of shows for free and we sign people up. So I'm very lucky for that.
Okay. What about the most expensive vacation or experience?
Prior to this, we went to Hawaii, but I think Alaska is going to top that because just the initial price is so much more. I think Hawaii was probably around $6,000 to $7,000 to go to Hawaii.
What's still on the bucket list? You can't count Alaska.
That's stuff. Bonnaroo, Lollapalooza.
Yeah, got those big festivals. I really want Mediterranean. Like I want to do some out of country travel.
Okay. What's the dumbest thing that you've ever wasted money on?
Sporting goods. I have probably 9 bowling balls, 6 skateboards, 4 bicycles. Like, I don't know. They just build up over time, when you just buy them and you have them and then you don't get rid of them.
Yeah. Probably shoes that just aren't comfortable. So that's why I don't spend a lot on shoes because I just don't think they're comfortable. So yeah, silly shoes.
Mike, was that an answer for her, or was that really how you felt about all your bowling balls that you haven't got rid of?
No, it's true. It's true. What happens is, I have a friend who's also probably an everyday millionaire as well, who's on staff with Storm. So when we talk about finance, I got this perfect bowling ball for you. So then he'll give me one, then I'll drill it, and then they just build up. If you buy 1 or 2 a season, all of a sudden you have 10. And I know I bowled in college. I still bowl, but it's not like I need 10 anymore,
What's your average score? I mean, are you hitting like 250 plus? Are you like you near professional?
No, I am a low 200 house guy, so it's actually kind of funny.
Okay.
Like I'm an above average bowler, but I am a 208 house guy right now. So I'm 208. I'm good.
That's great.
There's guys that are a lot better than me.
Well, yeah, but for a guy that bowls in the 200s, even in low 200s, I'm expecting that guy to have 10 bowling balls. I'm just telling you. I mean, if I met you on the street and you told me you're a low 200 bowling guy, I'm expecting you to have 10 bowling balls. That's not that many, right? I mean, I see those guys come when I go every now and again. They come in with a whole bag full.
I come in with 4. Yeah, I bring 4 to the lanes with me.
There you go. There you go.
I need to know, how do you wear out a bowling ball such
It's
that you
more,
need another one?
it's
Or
more
is it a
so.
feeling?
I'll send you this article about the technology that's in the bowling balls. It's absolutely incredible. Like I am a fake 200 bowler because the equipment makes you better. There's a lot of technology that goes into them, and it's just like anything else. You want the newest and the greatest. Like, yeah. If I could have
You probably have different weights too, right?
no, they're all 15 pounds, but it's more so
You all
work.
keep 15? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And I haven't really delved deep into the world of bowling, but I'm not shocked. But at the same time, I look at sporting equipment with some people is like, you collect these things and you have them through the decades and the ages, and if you're bowling that frequently and you've got 10 bowling balls that you've used for 20 years, it's not that crazy to me. I don't feel like anyway.
Yeah, they just build up over time, and then I never get rid of them.
I'd just be excited about having shoes that they didn't spray some weird antibacterial spray and mystery spray that you hope does something before you slip your little feet inside.
Oh man, what's something that you spent way too much money on but you don't regret?
We did this cool thing last summer where we bought everyone at the park ice cream last year, and it was like $500. It's a thing they do in the city that's for the community. And to think you spent $500 on ice cream for other people, I don't regret it. It was probably one of the best days of my life. It was this reggae artist was performing, and he sings the song Little Love. It was right after National Ice Cream Day. It was a bummer because we were going to do it a week when Leanne wasn't traveling for work, but she was traveling. But the weather was so perfect. It was such a great day. But to say you spent $500 is a lot of money.
Okay. What's the financial habit that changed the most once you became a millionaire?
I don't know. I think I'm more comfortable spending money. And I'm also a little more comfortable with Leanne giving me money. For me, that's huge. Like, I used to tell people I was broke. I would have like $1 left in my account because I was trying to squirrel it all away. And I'd be like, I can't even buy anything because I got 50 cents left. Accepting a little bit of help for me has been something I've done since we've been a millionaire. I don't think before I was so focused on getting the goal. No, you can't give me money. We got to save that.
Leanne, what about you? Go to a nicer spa?
Yeah, no, same one, same one.
More frequent?
No, actually, I think almost less. It's
Less.
funny. I don't know, maybe not. I've definitely done bigger amounts, though. So I would say that I am my budget for the spending on certain things has increased. I can't say exactly, but like Christmas stuff, gifts, things they have gotten a little bit more liberal. I guess that's it. I don't know.
Okay. How did you make your first buck?
I ironically worked at a bowling alley because my grandparents owned one, which is funny because that links to the conversation. But the craziest thing I ever did for $1, because I know that's one of the questions, was I sold corn on the corner for a local farmer, and I would make $1 for every dozen I sold, but I had to pick it, bring it out there. It was horrific.
How old were you when you did that?
Probably 14. I was
Okay.
working in the family business before that, but it's family. It's family.
Okay. What about you, Ma'am? How'd you make your first buck?
I don't remember what my first job was. That's awful, isn't it? Was it? Yeah, it might have been Dunkin' Donuts.
Still running on Dunkin'. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go with it. That's kind of neat. As an iconic brand, I know it's a little bit different, but I feel like in some respects, especially, in parts of the country, it's an iconic brand. And, you hear the stories of people starting at McDonald's or these others, but Dunkin's never been brought up. So I'm going to roll with it. I like it. What's the craziest thing that you've ever done to earn money? Mike already answered.
Yeah, I responded to a want ad for people to work at these vendors at the Fish concert in Coventry, Vermont. And that was crazy because it was a crazy experience, but also just a weird working environment as well. So it was pretty crazy.
Okay. What's the closely held belief that you once had you recently changed your mind on?
I listened to a podcast with the guy who wrote Happy Money. And it's this idea that you let money go and it's okay. And you should be thankful that you let it go. Like if you're tipping somebody, be thankful that you gave it to them, not that they're working for it. It's your money helping them and you should be thankful for it. So think that's a recent change for me since listening to that podcast. And
Oh no, I don't
How about what's a key lesson that you learned from childhood?
don't spend more than you make.
save for what you want.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love your career / profession?
We're very different on this because I'm like a 9. I love the team of people I work with. I still like my job. Some days are tough with the danger of the homes we go into at my full-time job, but I still like what I do.
I like people. I'm probably more like a 4.
Okay. Any last words of advice for somebody who's just starting out on their journey?
You can make yourself wealthy with time. The power of compounding interest, that's huge. You can become a millionaire and you can do it.
Anything from you, Leanne?
Set reasonable saving goals, and if you can, you beat those goals. I mean, for me, I had to be comfortable, or I had my, you have to have know where you're comfortable, and then if you have more, great, put it on. But making sure, I don't know, I needed that comfortability that things were safe and where I could save, and it made it much more doable for me.
Awesome. That's Mike Leanne with a net worth of $1.2 million. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Jace Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website, millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.